And so that this is what God says to Moshe. This is what you have to do to
38.
consecrate them. In this parsha, you have to dress them up in there. Aaron had 8 special garments, and
Real black man.
the
Excuse
4
me.
uh, regular the garments that
Favorite
the
man? No.
Kohanim, the
Probably George
children of
Floyd.
Aaron,
I mean,
but
that
Aaron was
garnered
a
everybody.
Kohen Gadol,
Black Lives
and
Matter.
he
You
had the
know, right.
diamonds on his and the jewelry. I mean, on his shoulders that had the
Do you have an
names of
African
6
American?
tribes on one
I bet
shoulder,
she'll
6
bring a voice
tribes
to
on
Fox.
the
I don't
other,
know if they phased it
and
now.
he also had the
I
breastplate,
decided
which
there.
had the
And
names
God, some he like, why are you black?
of the 12 tribes he carried
I don't
on
think that
his
would be,
heart. That was called
why are you
the
black?
Choshet.
You
But
blackmailing.
what he wants to make a point here is we will see.
Yawn.
Hada hu dechsiv.
We're
This
putting in the.
is what is written. La'olam Hashem dvorcha nitzav
Are you reading?
b'shamayim.
No, we're not reading from what you said.
Forever, Almighty,
Can you
your
see?
word
Yeah.
stands in the
I'm saying,
heavens.
can you see what I'm writing?
Now, Chassidus takes that and says that the words that God said, Yehi Or, that Aleph base, Yehi Or, those letters are life forces, and they are the life forces that are constantly, since God said those words are standing in the heavens to enliven the heavens. And the same with the whole 10 statements that God said in that it was created ex nihilo, out of nothing, but that was the beginning, and those letters are giving life to the world constantly. They wasn't just a thing of saying it once, but those letters stay in the heavens to give light. And so he says here, Dahu Dechsiv. This is what it says in the longest kapitel in Tehillim, which is 119, and this is the 89th sentence. And what is this sentence? La'olam Hashem dvorcha nitzav b'shamayim. Forever, O God, your word stands in the firmament in the heavens to enliven the heavens. Omar David. King David said, the author of Tehillim, Kishem Sha'ata Emes, just like you are Emes, the ultimate in truth. Shenemar, as it says, and he brings a pasuk from Yirmiyahu, from Jeremiah. Vashem Elokim Emes, God our Lord is truth. And everything, this is the one place where there is no scripture. Is only the truth eternally for all time. So he says here, Omar David, King David said, Kishem Sha'ato Emes, just like you, God, are truth.
Right, she's on. Yeah, I was about to say.
Change Volcha Emes. Your word is Emes, is truth. Shinema Lo'olam Hashem Dvorcha Nitzav Hashamayim. Forever, O God, your word stands in the heavens to enliven the heavens. And those words, all the words that God said about Shemayim, all the words that God said about light, all the words that God said about plant life, about earth, those words are life forces, and the osios, the letters of those words, God, they stand, and God enlivens the world through those letters constantly. It's not a one-time thing. Al Toimar Bashamayim. You read this pasuk, Lo Oilom Hashem Dvorcha Nitzav Bashamayim, but you could also read it Kashamayim, just like Bashamayim means your word is in the heavens with the base, Bashamayim. Kashamayim means your word is like the heavens. And explains Kishem Shemitchila Gozar Venasu Shamayim Yirakia, just like God said, and God called everything into existence. Can we understand that? Can we? The world was created and out of God's power, and God just said that no human being can ever do that. Create something just by saying. But that's the infinite creator who created time, and he existed before time. Time is a creation, and the heavens are creation. The world was created not millions of years ago. The world was created 5,785 years ago. That's it. That's when the supreme being, who we have no understanding of his whatness, his essence, but we know his existence through life, through his appearing at Mount Sinai and speaking to 3 million people. I am the Lord your God, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. You shall have no other gods before me. And the Torah, that which God said, makes us a people. And we are the people who parade that, who spread that. So just like it's not just Bishamayim, your word stands in the heavens, but just like the heavens, Kashamayim, just like the heavens were created and are there and exist forever. Kishem Shetchila Shemetchila Gaza. It's like in the beginning. Reishi, in the beginning. a synonym for Bereshis is tchila, beginning. Kishem shemitchila gozar. God gozar. He
Yeah.
declared. V'nasa shamayim. He decreed.
Young. She's a
And
young.
a heaven came into being.
She got married.
Ah,
She's not the same thing.
Dover shedibarto
Oh, okay.
l'kadesh et Aaron.
No. No, you have
The
it if you want.
words that God
Oh,
said
for you
to
it's
sanctify Aaron, which are the words in our Parshas,
right. Yeah.
Tetzaveh.
Right.
Zadabor asher taseh lahem. Those
How many
words
times
are
you
make Aaron, the Kohanim,
wake up,
down to our time. They are the holy ones. They are the ones who bless us
Our sister safety.
on the Yom Tovim. They have the power to go up, and they have a power that was
Sierra Fox.
given to them when God appointed them to be the holy ones to work in the
Woo, a goose.
temple. And just
He's a
like
chair
God
11.
said
He's a
that
chair
the
11.
heavens should come into
Chair
existence
11.
and be
No,
forever,
chair 11. We're
God
chair 11. He's the
saying, this
he's the chair
which I
11.
command you, saying it to
He's the chair
Moshe, that
You look chair
is
11. You chair
forever.
11. We watch you most. We watch chair 11.
Davar shedibarto, all the words that you said, l'kadesh, to sanctify,
And
as
to talk to
Aaron has
you.
spun up, and that's a godly act. We don't understand
They don't like
just why Aaron
this.
has that was originally the Bechorim
People are
had
kind
that
of, that's
service,
interesting.
but then God made
I wonder
a
if poor Kevin
special
said to me,
tribe should do the service in the temple
move with the top.
and be holy to the Jews, and that is forever. Just like the words that God said, let there be a heaven.
And
That's
like,
forever.
there was
God
a
said
family
that
of,
the tribes, that the Kohanim
wait a minute.
should be holy forever.
Like, that's not even. I was like, wait, what? When was
That's
last
why
year?
you
Very
give
survived. Don't you?
in our time there is unfortunately no
Yeah,
temple, but because the
great.
Kohanim are
Thank
the
you.
special holy people, they're called first
You gotta go sit down.
Torah. I mean, they're called up a
Oh,
Kohen, and then a
thank
Levi,
you.
and then a Israel.
I
If there
go.
is,
That's you know, what for me. Well, Target also.
and they're the
Right.
ones that bless
That's fine.
the the Jewish
Right.
people.
Right. That one deal.
It's very sad
Deal before.
that the so-called liberal congregations don't have the blessing, don't have the whole
Waiting for the facts.
duchenim,
Waiting.
but the Orthodox
Facts.
have it. You
And
know,
how about Apple? Apple
if
was its own
they have a Kohen.
universe for them. Apple is Apple.
I
Apple is
always
its own.
believe you'll always have a Kohen. So what did the Af Davor Shedibarto Lekadesh is Aaron Be'ezbanav. The
I don't.
words that you said, which sanctify
I was just thinking that.
Aaron
Do it. I was
and
saying.
his children, his sons, and of course every
Nie wiem, co taką tym znaczy.
back up 3,500 years, every Kohen comes from Aaron.
First name.
And all the services we will soon see when Mashiach comes, when the temple is rebuilt, and we will see the Kohanim, the Kohen Gadol in his special garments, his beautiful garments, and his sons, the regular Kohanim in their poor garments, which are the tunic and the belt, the gartel, and the shorts under his he wears shorts from his waist to his knees, and the mitzvah, the what they wear on their heads. So, and this is forever what God said to Moshe, to make inaugurate and make holy Aaron and his sons, and they will be the ones who serve the Jewish people in the temple. They are the ones, and they have to have special consecration because they go to places in the temple that, and before that, the Mishkan, they go places where no non-Kohen can go, no Jew can go, just the Kohanim, and they're the ones who bring up the offerings onto the altar, and they have, when there are a lot of Kohanim, then they choose it out which Kohanim that they will be doing the service. So, that's what the point the Midrash is bringing out now, that just like David says in Tehillim, Ro'olam Hashem dvorcha nisa v'shamayim, forever, O God, your word stands in the firmament in the heavens, and that's eternal. So is the making of the Kohanim, and then their service afterwards is eternal. And that's why he brings the pasuk. L'olam Hashem dvorcha b'shamayim, and not just b'shamayim, but kashamayim. Your word stands in the heavens forever. And similarly, your word that you told Moshe Rabbeinu stands just like the words that you created the eternal heavens. God made a covenant. Again, Kishem Shemitzchivo Gozras Venasu Shamayim. Just like in the beginning, God said, how did the heavens come into being? You look up in the heavens, There was a time when they didn't, there wasn't such a thing. But in the it's already 5,785 years that there's a heaven. Never, heaven never ceased to give light, to get to the sun that got created, the moon, and that to give us a world where God can. This is a training ground for the next world, and the way we act on this world is how we see the consequences in the next world. And so it says, Davar shedibarto lekadesh et, just like what you said, to create the heavens and make them eternal, what you said to consecrate Aaron to officiate in the temple. That is that word that is standing forever, and this is not a temporary thing, but it's a forever thing. And Shenemar, we bring the pasuk in Bamidbar, lo ulizaro acharav. It will be on to Aaron and his seed afterwards. Downtown in the year, the secular year 2000, 2024 of the Common Era, and 5,784 since creation. So your word will stand enlivening the heavens, and your word will stand as the grease, Lizaro, unto Aaron and his seed, his children, Achor, that come after him, grease, kuhunas, olam, the covenant of being the Kohanim forever. It's never going to stop. Till Mashiach comes, then we'll first see them get serving in the base of Mikdash. But here, see, they have certain priorities. They get the first aliyah in the Torah. They bless on Pesach and Shavuos and Sukkos. They raise their hands to bless the Jewish people. They have that power that
It's an
all of
accident.
that is the power that God gave them.
I did that. That's fine.
And so he will have the Vahisha lo lizaro akra bris kuhunas olam. Unto him and to his children afterwards will be an everlasting kuhuna. Nobody loses his kuhuna. He might not do what he might not come
Thank you.
to be called up on the days that the Torah is read. He might not come to shul on the days that he's supposed to do, and he's called up and he's supposed to set his hands apart.
Oh.
And Kohanim can do that. Non-Kohanim know how to do it also, but they can't do it in the same. They can't do it. They can just try to show that they know how to put the fingers out. You see, if you see on the tombstone, you see the Kohanim and you read the Kohen, the one that you're not supposed to look when the Kohanim duchen, when they stand on the platform and they bless. Yivarecho Hashem, Yivarecho Hashem, God should bless him, Yishvarecha. And the three priestly blessing, the first one has 3 words, the second one has 5 words, and the next one has 7 words. And the one who's davening the Chazan, or the Shliach Tzibur, says Yibrecha because you have to say it after somebody. That's the way the text reads. That's you should bless the children of Israel, saying. So there's somebody who has to say first the blessing word by word, and the leader says Yivarecha, and the Kohanim sing Yivarech Hashem, God, they say Hashem, Yishrecha, and God should guard you. Let me get to the next bracha they say. And only Kohanim have that power of blessing. So that's what it has to do with the passage in our Sedrin, just like it was that God in the creation of the world made everything they made was permanent. It just says here the Shemayim is permanent, but everything else, the waters are permanent. The land is permanent. It was all made 5,785 years ago. And all the theories, that science puts out, this world is millions of years old. History, 5,785 years. And we have 225 more years until the 6,000 year. And that has to be years of Mashiach in this next 215 years. His peak is about 2085, and so there's it means it's 7,000, rather 5,785. And the world, the Gemara says, the world is to be like we know it now, 6,000 years. So they say 5,785 years old. There's got to be time for the Mimosha Mashiach. So Mashiach, this is not on this. This is when it says we are the 7th generation from the time of the Tetzaveh. And all this number 7 is here. This is right. we are in that seventh generation right now. So things have to happen, and we got to be ready. So just like the Kohanim, their life and their selection is permanent. It's non-negotiable. Just like the heaven is non-negotiable and permanent. Will never cease. So will the Kohanim never cease. The Levim are from the same tribe as the Kohanim. They have this originally
How you
the Kovim, the firstborn that had a special holiness, the Sugas. But it was that they worked in the they were the priest Kohanim, and because they were nishal, they fell by the service of the golden calf. Therefore, they lost the godly ministry of it. The Levim were supposed to be the Kohanim, and now the Kohanim, because they didn't serve the golden calf. Now the tribe of Levi, Kohanim are from the tribe of Levi, and so
Google search Barney Gumbo working on YouTube.
Nepal, tickets from
Google search Barney Gumbo working on YouTube.
And okay, now I would like to watch how Megillah.
Joel with us again tonight, Rabbi.
Okay, Joel, did you ever call my son on that?
No. Why don't we save this until the end of the show? I put something in the chat section, and I'd like to read it to you. It's from Sukkah 29a, Rabbi Feller. Just get your impressions at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're doing a great job right now. I don't want to waste your time with my stuff.
Let's not waste time. We'll do it at the end of the show.
At the end would be sufficient. Thank you.
We're gonna learn Megillah now.
Okay. Which Megillah is it?
Esther.
Oh, yeah, for Purim.
Sure. We read the book of Esther.
Okay.
I thought and next week we're going to be on Wednesday night because Thursday night is Purim.
And
we read.
And we changed the clocks. The clocks will have changed over the weekend.
Yeah, well, so what is it'll be light out till what time?
It'll be pretty close to 7 o'clock on both sides. It's a 12-hour day.
Yeah.
For these seats.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to read and try to explain these. Again, we don't begin to know what all the details of what happened except from the Talmud, the Medrash, and the Targum. And so I'm going to start with where Mordechai knew of every of the success of Haman's soliciting from the king the right to exterminate the Jews, deicide, from the river to the sea. Didn't begin now. It's an interesting thing. Always in our history, there are people. It could be not all the people, but throughout history, like no other nation, Jews are singled out for deicide. And you would think in such a generation like ours, where from all modern technology and scientific medicine and everything, that we would have progressed out of this immoral, baseless hatred of the Jews, who have accomplished so much for society. You know, we are less than 1/3 of 1% of the world population. We're about 16 billion amongst 8 billion. We are 29% of the Nobel Prize winners. And unfortunately, we don't know the reason for it, that we lost 6 billion. But good news is that we believe, and a very big part of is that this world was created with a twin, another world. And all the gruesome things that we see done to people because they were Jewish, their souls were gone, and they're put together in the next world, and they'll come back when there'll be the Tchias amazing, fresh and new. All those who were decapitated and the babies that were, the terrible things that I've said so many times. That's why the world, the Torah begins with a base, because to tell us that there were 2 worlds created simultaneously. And the second world was the eternal world. This world has been here only 800 years. Next year, 62. So this is just a small, our life here. And our life here is determines how we live in the next world. So I'm going to read Mordechai again. The king, there's a vicious descendant of the Amalekites who attacked the Jews in the desert when they were first becoming a nation and got to come out of Egypt. They attacked the Jews suddenly. And that we read that portion on Purim, that the Amalekites came and tried to destroy the Jews in their travels through the Midbar. And Moshe Rabbeinu went up to the mountain and held his hands high, and when Moshe Rabbeinu held his hands high in prayer to God, the Jews were winning the war against the Moors. And if Moshe Rabbeinu's hands became weak and he dropped them, then the Jews would be losing. So what Moshe did was have that his grandson Pur and Kalev held Moshe's hands up so he didn't have to he couldn't put him down. And when he was praying, and the Jews prayed also, and they looked to heaven, and the Jews won the battle with the Amalekites. But God said, because what they did was that they performed all kinds of impure actions on the Jews, and the Jews who were, the Jews lived in the clouds. I mean, they had clouds on all four sides and on top, and they walked in the clouds. It saved them from getting bitten by the snakes and the scorpions that are on the ground in the desert. But no, they walked on clouds. But that was as long as if they didn't behave, they were spit out from the clouds, and they had to live outside and they were the ones that were attacked by Amalek. Yet the Jews, Moshe commanded Joshua to get soldiers and choose sacred men, and they defeated Amalek. But God said that Amalek, and no question in my mind that the Hamas is only the terrible things, the brutality, the inhumanity of cutting up babies, shooting, and then shooting them up, the parents. And what they did with those 1,200 people that they murdered. And so that's why Amalek has to be wiped out, and that's why Hamas has to be wiped out, because they're inhuman. That it should never happen again. Anyway, so Mordechai was the cause of Haman's hate. It was cause of his working on it right away in the time of the story of Purim, because the king made the decree that everybody has to salute, curtsy, when Haman walks through the streets. That's what he angled. Achashverosh was the king. He had the power, but he was also known as Melech Tipesh. You know what the word Tipesh means, a fool. And Mordechai wouldn't bow. Why wouldn't he bow? Because he had an idol on his chest. And you'd be bowing. If you bow to him, you're bowing to the idol on his chest as well. And Mordechai wouldn't do that. The Jews can't do that. And therefore he made that decree. And told Achashverosh said there's no use to the Jews. They're a different people. They live a different life. And he's had nothing from them and get rid of them. Deicide. And it was the worst decree that ever in our whole history. That all the Jews to be Noshim the top, men, women, and children to be slaughtered. And that's what Hamas wants now as well. Thank God they didn't do it. What they did was bad enough. These are just children's fathers. And we're right now in a time in the end of days, and we will see the elimination of Amalek. And there's no question in my mind that Hamas is Amalek. He says it. Anyway, so Mordechai was Esther became the queen. There was the king murdered had executed his wife because she wouldn't come to the banquet, and he wanted to show her off to the people, and she got boils all her body, and she refused to come. So he had her, so he had her killed, and then he had a contest, throughout the land to get a new wife, new queen. And Esther, though she was 70 years of age and has a green complexion, God made her find favor in the eyes of Achashverosh, and she was appointed, selected queen. Now, she was brought up by Mordecai, and Mordecai at first, he hid her that they shouldn't find her, but they found her. And the Mordecai knew what was decreed on the Jews between what went on between Haman and Achashverosh. And that's what it says here. And Mordecai Yoda as Kol Asher Mordechai Yoda as Kol Asher Naseh, and that the decrees that were sent out, they were sent out and it wasn't specified who should be killed on the 13th of Adar. Now the Haman was a superstitious guy, and he drew lots, and it was on the on the first days of the month of Nisan, and came out the lottery months came out for the 13th day of Adar, which was 11 months away. Okay, that's when he wanted the deicide to be Haman. And Mordecai found out about that. Mordecai was a official. Esther saw to it that he should become an official in Shushan. And Mordecai Yodas Kol Asher Naseh Vayikra Mordecai Es Begadav. Mordecai tore his close. That's a sign of mourning. When you, God forbid, if somebody passes away, before they put the person in the ground, his children, the mourners, the person who is making the funeral, hopefully a righteous person, and this has to be done. They have to write care, kriya, their garments have to, and they have to make both men and both women have to care their outer garments and their inner garments. And in biblical times, they tore the whole cloak, or tunic that they were wearing. They made a tear in all of it, and then they, after the 7 days, they could sew it back on, but it had to be visible that it was torn. Anyway, so Mordechai knew everything that happened. The Hechan Gorma Lo Kriya Bishushan Abira. Where did he tear his garments? In the capital city, in Shushan Abira, because he was like a senator. Who deceived Vayikra Mordechai as Bigdo, who Ish Yemini, and he was a Benjamite. Mordechai descended from Benjamin, from the tribe of, he was Ish Yemini, a Benjamite. Vayilbash Sak Va'efer, because he knew what these decrees were. And he wanted to show signs of everybody knew that he was a Jew. Again, when the decree was sent out to all the kingdoms, he was a king of 127 countries, and that was the world at the time. And the decrees went out that a certain nation has to be eliminated, and they have to be killed on the 13th day of Adar. Anoshim Noshim B'Tav. So, but Mordechai found out that went on between Haman and the king, who was no great lover of the Jews. He was just as big anti-Semite as Haman. But we'll see when Esther comes to the king. So he put over himself sackcloth, the afer, and ashes. That's mourning. Vayosem sak b'mosna, on his, he put on sackcloth. That's mourning. And Midrash here makes the point that Shuv lo zaz mibanav, this the first one to put on the sackcloth was Yaakov Avinu when he heard the news of Joseph, and they brought him the garment and blood, and his favorite son Joseph was he was told was devoured by devoured by an animal, and so he put on sackcloth. And once this was done, this was the custom of all mourning by the Jews down the generations. Well, I don't know. I don't think anybody puts on sackcloth today, but they do strip the clothes. That has to be in his a lapel, and then and the shirt, and a number of rips, and that shows the mourning. So, from the time that our forefather used Yaakov put on the sack and sackcloth and ashes, that became the way Jews mourned. Amar Rab Evo, Misher Tofas Abinu Yaakov Esasak, Tichsiv, Vayosan Sak B'Mosnov. He put from the time. This was the first time that was he introduced it, Jacob, for the mourning over his sons. But since then, it says, Shuv lo zaz mibanav, that never left his sons. That was what they did, God forbid, in times of mourning. So, the next, there's Ubechol Medina Medina. In every state, in every country, Mokom Asher Dvar Hamelech Vidoso Magia. This is the whole new happening in the world. This is the big news. And every Medina, and all it was, every Medina was 127. They all got this notice that on the 13th day, certain Jew, and the second, there's an envelope that was given that which people has to be exterminated. Open the second letter. You can't open it until the 13th day of Adar. And of course, Chanukah was the Jewish people. So, ובכל מדינה ומדינה, מקום אשר דבר המלך בדוסו מגיע. In every state where the words of the king reach. Remember, he sent out the Pony Express to go to all the countries and give the rulers the officialdom of the state that they have permission to kill a nation. And we're going to exterminate a nation. And which nation you have a second envelope that tells you which nation it is, and that you can open only on the day of extermination. So b'chol medina medina makom asher dvar hamelech v'doso magia. Abel Gadol Yehudim, the Jews knew it was them, and there was a tremendous Abel Gadol, tremendous mourning. Gadol means big. Abel Gadol Yehudim. So the Midrash says, wait a minute, what is that Abel Gadol? V'chi Abel Gadol v'yesh Abel Kotan. What do you, is there Abel? Is there a big Abel and a small Abel? Or is there big morning and small morning? Dichsiv, as it says there, Vayitzach Tzaka Gedola Umara. B'noi Sheboilam Kol Ha'avelim the custom in that's the halacha. B'noi Sheboilam Kol Ha'avelim Evlon Mismayet. Hey, in regular life, God forbid when a person becomes a novel, it avails, and this is the halacha today as well, Avon Mismayet, it gets easier. B'hoilech ad l'shivas hayamim. It gets less, until the seventh day of the morning is when he gets up from Shiva. And he's still a mourner until Shloshim. Until any morning is at least till 30 days. But for a father and a mother, it's 12 months, the whole year. But then it's not the whole lifetime. B'noed shebe'olam kol ha'avelim Evlon Mishmai. The custom is, and that's the halacha, that you decrease in mourning. Takvai Yemishon, the hardest, the most bitter and sad day of the Avelis is the first day of the Avelis. On the very first day after the passing of a loved one. The first day is the hardest day, but then it decreases. He's talking here what all the Jews, they knew that it was deicide, and they were the targeted ones. So he's just now dealing with the words that Abel Gadol Yehudim. So reading Abel Gadol. So he's the Medrash is explaining V'chiyesh Abel Gadol V'yesh Abel Kotan. So he goes on to say Benoeg Sheboilam Kol Ha'avelim Evlon Mismai. For any morning, if a person, it decreases by day. Ad l'shivas hayomin, Tokvai, the greatest severity in crying, in showing the terrible thing, the outburst, the emotions of the terrible thing, the passing of a loved one. That's on the first day, but it goes down. Avo, Zeh the Haman, but the evil that Haman caused, Kol Ma Shehu Hoylech, Ever Shekol Yom Shehu Hoylech, the Yetzer Hoyol Omrim Kvar Yetzer Yom Echad. It got worse every day. They more and more because they had a whole year that they were sentenced, but they weren't supposed to be killed. They had for another. As they heard it the first day, all the Jews knew that they were the ones that were destined to be murdered, man, woman, and child, is wipe out all the Jewish people. And because of Haman, who was a Molech, his hate, so but again, again, children who mourn their parents, it's for 12 months, but it's showing that this emotional outburst that they mourned, they can imagine how it affected their lives if they got this message in their city that you're going to be killed on the 13th of Adar. And they said that their mourning became worse every day. And they said, their mourning got worse every day. Shekol Yom Shehu Holech, every day that passed, they said we're closer to being killed. It got worse. Shekol Yom Shehu Holech, every day that went past, V'yotze, Hoyu Omrim, Kfar Yotzer Yom Echad, one day is gone. And we're closer one day to our death. close to one day of our life now has already been taken. So the Abel, the mourning increased. That every kol ma shehu holech from the time shekol yom shehu holech v'yotzeh hoyom, the people would say var yotza yom echad b'chayenu, one day of life now is gone from us, and you can imagine how they felt. They were destined to be, and that was the worst, the worst decree that ever happened to the Jewish people. Every other decree, even the Holocaust, was in Europe. It didn't reach America. It didn't reach South America. It didn't reach. It was in Europe. But here, every country was under the tyrant who decreed it, Achashverosh. Okay. Remember, over to where Mordechai pleads with Esther. But and he says he comes to her that she came to Esther, as we know, and she sent out she saw him in sackcloth, and nobody in sackcloth could go into the palace in the morning, so he had to stay outside. But she sent her trusty servant, who is called Hasoch, but it was really Daniel the prophet, and she told him to go and see what's wrong. Why is he in such mourning? So and she said that I am, he told you, go to the king and tell him that you're Jewish. Now, till now, he told her, don't tell him that you're Jewish. He said, but now go to him and tell him that the people that he, Haman, duped you, decree that they should be wiped out, man, woman, and child, on the 13th of Adar. Tell them that they're your people. Because Ki'im Hacharesh Tacharishi, these are words in the Megillah. Because if you're going to be silent, he says to Esther, in Tishtaki Achshav, if you are going to be silent now and not tell him, why? Because here is a man who killed his wives, like, he had. Everybody knows the history. When his wife Zeresh didn't come, he killed her. And he had a law that anybody who comes, anybody can come and see him, but if he doesn't like, if anybody who comes and he doesn't hold out the golden scepter to them, their history. And so she was afraid to go because she had been not invited for a month. He had plenty of concubines. So in Tishtaki Akshog Shelo Lalame Sanagoria Al Umasakar, if you're not going to go and be a defense for your people, Sofach Listok Lasilavo, you're going to be silent in the day of judgment. Vein Loch Bishon Peh, and you have nothing to say to God when you're asked, why didn't you go and plead with the king? Bishon Peh, Lema She'at Yechol Lasos Toiva Biyamecha Below Asis, you could have done a good thing. Uma'at Svura, what do you think? HaKadosh Baruch Hu maniach es Yisrael. Look, I'm telling you to go to the king, and do you think you're afraid? Do you think God is going to abandon his people? Listen to the words. Uma'at Savura. Esther, what do you think? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, maniach es Yisrael, will leave the Jews to be slaughtered. Mikol makom maimid lehem goyel. From some place, God will send a redeemer to the Jews. Who deceived? Revach v'atzolo yamod liYehudim. Relief and salvation will come to the Jews. Don't think that if you don't go now and defend the Jews and tell the king who appointed you queen that it's your people that are going to be extinguished with this decree. Do you think that this decree of killing out of men, women, and children will happen? No. God always finds ways to save the Jewish people. There'll never be a deicide. Unfortunately, there's a lot of the destruction of Jews and as we've seen, but never the deicide. And so he tells Esther, and in תשכישי כאש הזויס רווח ועצור ימוד ליהודים. Relief and salvation, salvation will stand for the Jews. They'll be saved, and you and your house and your family will be destroyed. And who was to say that precisely for this moment you were made a queen? But Yemer Esther, so Esther said, Lo Shiv El Mordechai. Again, he couldn't come into the palace because you can't come into the palace dressed in sackcloth. So she did it with Daniel, was her aide, and Amrolo, she said, here's what you should do. Okay, I'm going to go to the king, but you, Lech Knais Eskol Yehudim, go gather all the Jews, Hanimtziim B'Shushan, that are in Shushan, the capital city, Vitzumu Olai, and let them fast for me. Ba'al Teichel, Ba'al Tishtu, Shloisha Yomim. Don't eat and don't drink 3 days. Which days are they? Elohein, Yud Gimel, the 13th, Yud Dalet, the 14th, the Tetzaveh, the 15th of Nisan. And Tetzaveh Nisan. It's Pesach night of the eating matzah, and they have to be fasting. And Mordechai was told the 3 days, the 13, 14, 15 of Nisan. So he said, that's what are you crazy? You should have Shalach Rabbi Yom Aleph Shel Pesach. Amongst these days is the 15th of Nisan, the day of Pesach, when you're commanded to eat matzah. How can you say we should fast? So Esther said, we should answer him. What do you mean? Amrullah, Zakon Shebisrael. You wise men, she said, you're the wisest one of the Jews. Lamu Pesach. Look, I'm telling you to gather the Jews to fast, that I be successful in my meeting with the king. Fasting means something to the God Almighty, and obviously the Jewish people have to do tshuva. And what good is Pesach? There won't be a Pesach if you don't fast, if we're decimated with deicide. Miyad Shama Mordechai listened. He said, what's Shama Mordechai? V'hoidel litzvot out. He said, yes, we have to fast. I will miss out on the Seder that night. But if we don't fast, there won't be a Pesach anymore. That's what she said to him. What good is Pesach if there's no Jews? So he listened to her, and he made the fast day. And that's what it says. Ahuda and Emma Vayavor Mordechai, and Mordechai passed. He went away from there. He had a meeting, and he convinced Esther she's got to go to the. We'll hear what happens when she goes to the king. Udamar Vayavar Mordechai Vayash Kechol Asher Tzivto Esther. He did everything that Esther demanded of him, commanded him to do. So it was said that the whole Pesach there is going to go. Yom Tov Shel Pesach B'Tainis will go away in fasting. But also Torah, on this Torah that the Jews were threatened and decreed that they should be destroyed, all of them. And so there would be, everybody would be fasting. But also Torah, you follow Mordechai El Hashem, and Mordechai would be fasting, and Vayomro, he follow Mordechai El Hashem. Mordechai prayed to God. Asisi Asher Lo Ishtachabisi Lahaman. Why now? This whole thing came about because I didn't bow to Haman, but I did your will. You're the one that says that we shouldn't bow any idol. I follow Mordechai El Hashem Vayemer. It's known before your holy throne. Adon Olam, Master of the world. Kilo, the God will slay. Not out of conceit. Morom, later I didn't bow. Osisi, Asher Lo Ishtachavesi. I didn't do it because of my own bravery, my own status. I did it because Asher Lo, that I didn't, Asher Lo Ishtachavesi Lahaman, that I didn't bow to Haman. Ki mi yirascha. Out of reverence for you, me for my fear of you, reverence of you, that you lo yelachol himacheri malponai. Palti, I did this. Palti zos levilti hishtachavisi not to bow. Lo. Ki aresi mipanecha, but because of my fear of you, my realization of your presence, and how that is the opposite of serving you, that you have to rather die than bow and serve a idolatry. Here, and this is what the Medrash is saying. There's no place that it says this. in the Megillah, but the Midrash is saying that there was this prayer in Shiur Esther said. And why did I do it? Ki aresi mipanecha, I fear you. Levilti tesh kvoitcha, I didn't want to give your glory libasar adam to a human. Below Ratzisi, Lishtachavais, I didn't want to bow. Lizulaslecha, to anybody but you. The only one a Jew bows to his gods. Kimi ani asher lo eshtachaveh lohaman, other than my being Jewish. And I fear you. What am I? Asher lo eshtachaveh lohaman al shuas amcha Yisrael, that to save your people. Who am I that I didn't consider this? Again, what here we have, he is saying to God that who am I that I should put the whole Jewish people in danger? If I would have bowed, that would have taken away the danger. The fact is also, the Rebbe gives out, if in those 11 months that the Jews knew that their fate, they were going to be exterminated on the 13th of Adar, if any of them would have changed their religion, left the Jewish faith, they would be spared. Because the decree was only on the Jews. If you become a Zoroastrian, the idolatry of the Persians, you're saved. No, but they wouldn't do it. And here, he's, we can follow his, Mordecai is talking to God. He's praying to God. And he says, Ki mi ani, who am I? Asher lo eshtakabel lohamon, that I wouldn't. I knew what an evil person he was, and al shuas amcha, for the salvation of your people. So I could have. Should I have bowed to Haman? Ki. I could have bowed to him. I could have Ishmael Raglov. I even I could have put his shoes on his feet, Haman. But in other words, I could have made like I'm bowing and not really bowing, but I'm pleading with you. V'ata Elokeinu, you, our God. Hatzilenu na, save us, miyadai, from him, from Haman. V'yipol b'shachas, let him fall into the pit. Asher, Korah, that he done for the Jews. V'yilpol bereshes asher toman l'ragloi rashitecha. And he'll be eliminated, and he'll be destroyed by the plot that he made for your pious ones. Be'eda ha'margi zazeh. And this one who caused trouble, make this one who wants to destroy us. Be'eda margi zazeh, ki lo shachachta, you didn't forget, ha'haftocha, the promise, she'ibtachtanu, that you promised us in Vayikra. Ve'im gam zos, and God says in Vayikra, biyosam be'eretz alveim, if they even if the Jews find themselves in the land of their enemies, lo ma'astim, I have not despised them. Below Galtim, I didn't hate them. The Jewish people, he's talking about them when they, even if they're sinful. L'chalosam, I wouldn't destroy them, even if they're in the lands of their enemies. Why are they there? Because they sin. Nonetheless, I wouldn't destroy them. L'hofer brisi tom, I won't do away with my covenant that I made with them. Ki ani Hashem Elokehem, I am God their God. Now look, this whole thing going on. God's name is not even mentioned once. And look how the whole prayer is it will still hear what Esther says in her prayer. But this is what the Midrash, and I said the Gemara is all about. They fill in. One time God is alluded to, and when Mordechai tells Esther, Revach va'atzola yamud lanu mimakom acher. And that when we go, God forbid, to a boarder's house, we say a text, and we refer to God as Hamokum. Hamokum minakom mishar God should Hamokum, the omnipresent. God is called the omnipresent, the omniscient, and the omnipotent. And here so that's the one time that God is alluded to. And but here, look how in the prayer, we wouldn't know about that prayer if, and they're not making this up. All this is written by Ruach HaKodesh, with their power of Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, and their Nevi'im. And God says, Ma Osam Mordechai, What did Mordechai do now after he prayed first to God? And what did he do next? Listen to this. We've said it. Ki beitz es atinoikos. He gathered the Jewish children, the
It's in
real
Midrash.
little ones, tinokos, the
Esther, Rabbi.
babies, the 3 and 4-year-olds.
Sorry, I
The
just lost you, but where are you?
I'm on Esther, Rabbah, Ches, and it's in Parshas Ches. I mean, I'm approaching Parsha Tes. Okay. So this is very important. Who are the real heroes of the story? What did Mordechai do the first thing before he even did anything else? Ma also Mordechai, ki beit atinoikos v'ino isom milechem. He
You were right. Oh, okay. Right.
brought them to suffer because
Okay.
he had them fast. V'ino isom milechem u'mayim, from bread and
Got it.
water.
Okay.
And Bisham sack, and he put on sackcloth on the little babies. Not babies, by here he means
Okay.
the little kids who can study, 5, 6-year-olds. Jewish kids are called Tinoko Shel Beis Rabbah, babies of the house of their rabbis.
Okay.
Tashbar, kids are called, and until bar mitzvah age, you can be in that category. Bar
Go and do a
bat
search,
mitzvah, yes.
please.
Anyway, listen. So this prayer: Kibitz etzatan noikos v'ina osa melechem mayim. He didn't let them have bread or water. There'll be some sock, and he had them all put on sackcloth, mourning garments. Shivam Afer, and he sat them on the ground. V'hoyu tzoakim, they, the little babies, tzoakim u'bochim, they would be crying, and they would be screaming and
I think I asked him this already.
The
Jennifer said yes. He said
they would
yes.
study
You
Torah,
can
and they
almost
would scream out the psukim. Little kids
put a
would
check mark.
scream out the psukim. That's the greatest thing that the God
Turn on
Almighty
your camera.
loves.
Turn on your tape. I know he
And they
does that
were pleading to God,
for
save
privacy.
us.
Okay.
So he got the little kids to learn Torah. It
You can
says
blur your
that he
background.
gathered in the Gemara. It says, and maybe later on in the Midrash, someplace it says, but it says in the Gemara that he gathered 22,000 children. And I got him into the big synagogue in Shushan or a big soccer stadium, but he learned with them. And he said the psukim with them.
Yeah. They're Jewish only. Yeah. Right.
At that time, Esther would
driving down.
Esther, at that same time, the Mordecai was
Sorry,
dealing
but
with
I
the
know I
little
was.
kids, gathering together
Jewish.
22,000 in number.
Oh, okay,
Brought
we're
down
just
in the
okay, good.
Gemara,
I just wanna.
learning with them halachas, and having them scream out passages from the Torah. At the same time, what did she do?
My keys are like sticky, but I don't want to change my mind.
Frightened.
I think we're gonna have to retire.
She was
Don't
very
remember.
frightened.
You have Windows 10. I don't know if. Should probably ask him Chris
Of a
Little.
calamity that was due to happen to the Jews.
So I have an older version.
And on the 13th of Adar.
Windows 11. Okay. He's part of the Alpha Test. Okay.
Big
Some of us
day.
are at CPC are part of it.
She took off Malchus. She took off
A lot
her
of our German
clothing
and Natalie Shiva.
that
She
was
has.
royal, and she dressed in sackcloth.
All of our now they're like, no, I really, because I'm 18, I'm just kidding.
Big day. Malchus, the royal garments that she wore, the queen, the Estifarta, and that was her glory. Batil she put on sackcloth. Batifra Saroisha, and she scrambled the hair on her head to make it look ugly. Batimola also offer, and she put dust in her hair, earth in her hair.
North south.
And she
just the difference is north and south.
She pained her soul. Bitsum, resting. Latipo Alpanel, she fell on her face. Lifnei Hashem, before God. Atishpa'alel, now hear her prayer. Esther's prayer in these, before she made the party, before she went to the king. She says, Hashem Elokai, God, Hashem, my God. Yisrael Asher Mashalta Mimekedem, Jewish people that you selected from the first days. You chose them.
Anchor Fox 9.
You caused them to
lead I don't
the nations.
You're Chelsea Carlson. I don't think so. Carlson.
And you created the world for the Jewish people. Please help your maiden. Asher Nisharti Yisoma, that I am a orphan. I don't have a father and a mother. And Mordechai adopted her. Then he married her. But saying, but I'm orphaned from my father and mother. Umeshulo Aniyah. and I'm likened to a poor woman. So Eles Libayis. I'm like a poor woman who is becomes a beggar.
Really,
I am begging you, Cain ani shoeles rachamecha. I am asking your mercy. In the palace of Beis Achashverosh, V'ato Hashem, and you, God, please,
give some to my house.
Hatzlichono, make me successful.
I live 2 blocks from here. Oh, you live 2 blocks from here.
Give success to what I'm going to do.
I don't.
I'm before the king.
That was normal.
Hania, the poor one.
This is much quieter. Oh yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I'm less.
V'atzilo es toin
How's it going?
ma'asecha. Save the Jewish people who are known as the sheep that you are their shepherd. Save us, min ha'oivim ha'ela. Save us from these enemies. Asher komu aleinu, that they are standing over us. Ki ein locha matzir lo shia b'roiv o b'ma'at. God, there's nothing holding you back from saving in any way or form, with a lot or with a little. You can save us with your littlest or your biggest salvation, and with your with a whip or a slingshot. Please stand to the right hand of this orphan. She calls herself this orphan. Asher Belach Chasacha Botcha, that this, meaning herself, that in your chesed, your kindness, I trust Botcha. Uchino oisi rachamim, put me that I receive rachamim, rachmanis, mercy, lifnei ha'ish hazeh, in front of this man, Achashverosh, ki because I'm scared of him. Make him, throw him down in front of me. That he listens to me, Achashverosh. Because you, God, you are mashpil, you lower Geim, the arrogant. And here you heard what a Jewish woman hey, she was scared of this Meshuggah, who kills his wives, and kills anybody. And if he doesn't want them, he doesn't want to entertain them or listen to them. Again, if anyone to whom he doesn't hold out the golden scepter, finished. Okay, we'll continue on, God willing. I want to come to the place where what we learned last that Eliyahu Hanavi ran around upstairs in heaven. He ran to the uncles, to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and said, "Why are you sleeping? Why your children are going to be decimated? This genocidal maniac." And they said, "Well, what do they do?" So they said, "Well, they're not keeping the laws. They're not keeping the laws of kashrus. They've done some idolatry. So hopefully I'll find where it says, and we'll do it from inside of the Midrash. But I know it from the other, and I want to conclude with this. The Eliyahu Hanavi almost say, if they need to be punished, what can we do? So, and these are the others that he's asking to pray for them, but they tell him, go to Moshe. Moshe listen, and Moshe stands up to God. And Moshe is the one who said, if you don't spare them, then cross me out of your book. Moshe puts his life on the line for his people. And so he came to Moshe and said, Moshe, this is the most terrible decree that has ever issued against your people. It's not. Please do something to save them. So Moshe says,
oh, guy,
they have somebody like me down there. I said, a person like me who puts himself on the line for the Jewish people. He said, yes. There's a Jew called Mordechai. He put his life on the line that Haman could kill him because he wouldn't bow down for him. She says, okay, go down and tell him, and that's what we started with, Mordechai. How did Mordechai know? Eliyahu Hanavi told him what's going on. So he said, okay, I'll work and I'll plead from here, and Mordechai will work from down there. Together we'll pull it out to save the Jewish people. That's what happened, and that's why we have the big festival of Purim. That's why Mishenichnas under Marbi
you can pull it up if you read it.
You have to increase. That means increase the Rebbe said.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a pretty slick app.
Simcha means Marbi, you increase. That means every day you have to be happier than the previous day.
Well, sit your
comes out the last day.
Simone.
The happiest.
God. I'm thinking Sydney for whatever.
And
maybe that should be something to call Fox Night about.
Simcha is
I don't work for Fox Night. I used to watch their program. Yeah, I have it on my
and
speaker.
Depression is the worst thing.
I cover that. I don't want people looking at my. Well, I don't want people spying on me.
And you has to read himself in discretion.
So for privacy, you don't want people.
So, we're gonna learn. We'll conclude with this.
I like to have the newer one.
Next week on Wednesday night.
Sure.
And I want to wish
not disrespecting Kelsey, Randy Byer, or Amy Hocker. Those three people went to Mount. Shouldn't forget about her. They're great people now.
If you can find yourself.
I feel like it's going to get us a 24-hour stuff.
Read the Parsha.
It is a 24-hour news, 24/7 news cycle.
And make yourself a corner in your house.
I was talking with Amy Hocker, and she's like, yeah.
With a little chair
I was talking with
kind of desk.
I wanted to ask what's the criterion that needs to be met. You people come here at 5:30 in the morning. Yahoo! It is still snow. I'm surprised anybody came.
If anybody and
the only ELT member was Ben Schultz, and I was like, you must.
You have something you want to discuss?
Ben Schultz.
Yeah. Yes.
He's that guy, he's...
See if I can do this. It should be screen 2 and share. Can you see? Nothing, huh? Okay.
I see a white ball.
Okay. So you see 3 Purim eclipses in a row.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so I'll flip up to that. So basically, what's occurring is that in 2024, we had an eclipse on Purim. It was not a blood moon eclipse, but it was still very interesting to see on Purim. And then this year, we're going to have a blood moon eclipse. And then next year, too. So 2 years in a row, blood moon eclipses. Purim, on Purim, all 3 of these. Okay, so it's interesting, and it is rabbinic. Here we go. Okay, so this is from Sukkah 29a, and so if during an eclipse the visage of the sun is red like blood, it is an omen that the sword, i.e., war, is coming to the world. If the sun is black,
read it a little slower. I see.
Slower? Okay, all right. I'm sorry. If during an eclipse the visage of the sun is red like blood, it is an omen that sword, i.e., war, is coming to the world. If the sun is black like sackcloth,
I've seen him.
Rabbi Feller, there was this amazing thing he brought up. Jacob, with his son Joseph, that he had blood and the sackcloth together.
Why would you?
The first time. And you cited both of those elements, which is very intriguing in terms of what I'm reading right here. So I'll continue.
Well,
if the sun is black like sackcloth,
a dumb question.
Made of
the other hand,
goat hair,
Eden Prairie, so you live near
arrows of hunger are coming
so you're like
to the
right
world.
there in case they need you, your plan.
Arrows of hunger are coming to the world.
You guys are.
Because hunger
you guys have to break in. I mean, you guys can come.
When
you have a morning tea
similar
that comes there. What time
you guys to blood, to that, to sackcloth, it is a sign
that good question.
And arrows of hunger
can I get many? Right, you get that. Yeah.
If it was eclipsed upon its entry,
and then you
soon after rising,
what time you
it is an omen that calamity is tarrying
so mine from 6 to 9, and then
if
I do
the sun is eclipsed upon its departure at the end of the day, it is an omen that calamity is hastening to come. And some say the matter
if like
an eclipse
something is
early morning
is
an omen that calamity is hastening, while
we're not a
late afternoon is an omen that calamity is
people to like, okay, this is a newscast, blah, blah, blah.
Is the omen that calamity is afternoon.
Yeah, it depends upon when it eclipses. Is it early or late? And so it's interesting to see this. And for me to be able to see that it's not only the moon turning to blood, but then also the sun like sackcloth made of dark
Lauren and Dracula for this traffic.
Very interesting.
Lauren is traffic.
Brilliant rabbis that came up.
She's good.
And this is in Sukkah.
Lauren is Lauren.
29A.
She's
I can't remember exactly which one it is, but it's there.
When Kendall left, we went, so we had to go search for her, and we found her, and
we'll have 9
she
of
kind of
them
fit.
coming up here from 2025 through 2033. And we
Once Kendall
might
left,
have
what else?
a situation where the sun becomes literally sackcloth made of dark gold hair. That is a physics, a cosmological physics situation that could occur. There is some dust floating around our cosmos right now, and if it attaches to the sun, it literally looked like sackcloth made of dark gold hair.
You're gonna have to learn and adapt.
Well, I'll tell you, let's pray to God to prevent this from happening.
Well,
signs.
Let me describe this to you, Rabbi Feller. So, according to what we are starting to discover, is that the very first tetrad of Passover, Sukkot, in 2 successive years, that's a tetrad, occurred during Noah's flood. We also think it occurred when Israel entered Egypt. And exactly, if the Exodus occurred on 1447 BCE, before the common time, then it would literally have been on a blood moon eclipse. So Passover is always on a full moon. Well, it looks like they walked out and the Egyptians died under a blood red moon.
Rabbi Sherpin,
Their firstborn. It's possible. It looks like when Jacob died, that there was an eclipse,
Rabbi Sherpin,
during that time frame. Also, the coming of King David, and when he became king, and then also there seems to be a blood moon eclipse tetrad during Hanukkah of 168 BCE. There seems to be right after Columbus returned in 1493, 1494, and he returned and he went through a storm. So exactly as he was returning, there was a blood moon eclipse tetrad.
I always meant to ask him that.
Not an eclipse tetrad. It was not blood moon, but there was an odd situation with Suleiman the Magnificent.
You'll be really like
the walls and the moat in 1539.
So the idea to mount this to the wall.
They were Passover, Sukkot, just not blood moon. But it is intriguing that he had lions chasing him, tell him to rebuild the streets and the walls of Jerusalem, and his mark is still there. In 1949 and 1950, we had a
I believe it was Janelle.
That signified the rebirth of Israel. They won the war basically in 1949 in the third month.
Should have been the Cedar Lake.
Then in 1967, 68, we had a tetrad. That's obviously the Jerusalem War.
Cedar Lake.
And
that would have been very
2014,
appropriate. Cedar Lake.
Another one coming up in
should have called it Cedar Lake. You know what?
It's just interesting.
I have to really give
relate to.
They should have named it Cedar Lake.
It just does.
Look at the whales. I mean, hello. Well, it's actually, Janelle. Actually,
I can get it on to you. And then also, I want you to mention.
She's from Minnesota. She's from
during 1946.
Crap.
That one of the evil Nazis, Stryker, screamed out Purim Fest 1946. And if you look at the Megillah itself, you'll see that some letters are smaller and some letters are larger. The Vav is larger. So the rabbis say that means it is the 6th
Can you share this with Rabbi Sherpin?
6 Vav.
You're the Sherpin.
And then the other letters are a Tav.
Sherpin. That's a good idea.
And there should be one more in there. But basically, if you add them up, it's 707. That would be 5707, 1946. And they were all the 10th.
Rabbi Sherpin,
just like Purim.
Do you know Rabbi Sherpin from things? He doesn't
they were all hung
he's
of 1946 as Julius Stryker, the most despicable of the Nazis, was screaming out Purim Fest 1946.
How did he know about Purim?
That is, I told them.
How did Haman know about this? That he was glorifying God and saving the Jews by this amazing process. So somehow,
Rabbi Sherpin here,
but yeah, Stryker screamed this out, and you can see the dates there. October 16th of 1946 is Tishri 21, Hoshana Rabbah of 5707. So, and this is using Hebcal date converter. So it is the exact date, and everything worked out perfectly, just like the Megillah scroll shows, with the undersized letters and the oversized letters.
And it will be, and here's why this is the greatest holiday. the sentence of the Nahapachu, it was turned around completely, upside down. Asher Yishlitu HaYehudim, that the Jews ruled. Hema Avoivehem. It was supposed to be Lahashmid Lahareg Eskal Yehudim. That all the Jews would be wiped up on that day.
I'm really fascinated by the
it was turned around because the Jews
slides you are showing. Can you send me those so I could send that to Rabbi Sherpin?
Little kids were screaming out to God. And you hear what we said.
He writes for Chabad.org, and
that it's very telling and very interesting what Mordechai
will be fascinated
says to Esther. Do you think
by
God's
this.
going to leave his people? You're so frightened. Hey, this is your hour. And if you blow it, you'll be saved from another source. And you and your house will be destroyed. So one of the Alshech, one of the great commenters says, why, why should he, if she doesn't go to the king, she's afraid. I mean, why should it be that no? If you don't go, then you and your family are going to be destroyed. You know why? Because if God is going to save our people, if you're not going to do it through the and get Achashverosh to issue a decree to save the Jews, then
and lives in St. Louis Park.
There will be a
Maybe Rabbi
people.
Sherpin.
There will be
Since
an
Rabbi
enemy
Sherpin, you were there.
of Achashverosh, and
Since
a
Rabbi
person who
Sherpin.
will march
Right.
on the Capitol and kill the king and his household, and you are part of his household. So you're not saving yourself by not going. But she was
Keep this on.
petrified of
Seriously.
receiving what
I did
was
not.
written. And she pleaded with God. And this is the only place where you don't find it in the Megillah itself. It's the Midrash that fills it in. But
Yes.
Hey, Joel, I have another question, Joel. Are these ill omens against the Yidden, or are they against America? Or
I would argue that this is blessings for the Jews because
good.
just like Esther, her real name is Hadassah, but she's Esther. She's Queen Esther, and Esther means hidden in either Hebrew, well, in Hebrew too. And so there's something hidden about it. And so I would say, well, here, let's do the last slide here just so you can see. Now, this is from Israel 365 News. My friend Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz, who's an Orthodox Jew living in Israel, wrote this article. And he says, Rabbi Mordechai Ganuth discussed the meaning of the eclipses in Jewish tradition, explaining that lunar eclipses are considered a bad omen for Israel under normal circumstances. This is based on the section in the Talmud, Sukkah 29a, that I just read you. That specifies that lunar eclipses are a bad omen for Israel since the moon spiritually represents Israel.
Yeah.
If the lunar eclipse takes place on the eastern side of the heavens, then it is a bad omen for all the nations in the east. And similarly, if it occurs in the western hemisphere of the sky, it is a bad sign for all the nations in the west. So he concludes it, a lunar eclipse in the month of Adar is a sign that there will be a war among the sons of Ishmael who are connected to the moon. Rabbi Ganuth said, it is also a sign of famine and drought in the West.
Well, we have the power through prayer and good deeds to, if there is, and this has been our history, if there is a gzera, a edict against the Jews, we can petition and plead with God, like we hear how Mordecai petitions God, and how Esther petitions God, and how the little kids are the heroes. They're the ones that they sit and they learn, and that's as it says in Psalms, out of the mouth of babes and suckling infants you have gathered strength. And that's the greatest thing, when God hears the babies, the kids learning Torah. And that's what we, and unfortunately, this whole thing about the government uh, negating the worth of Torah study. The Torah students who are sitting and learning the whole day, uh, they and now they want to conscript them, and they shouldn't want that. Ben Gurion was wise, and then Ben Gurion, who was no a chassid, he was no like Jew, but he knew that Torah is the bastion of the Jewish people, and there has to be people who are sitting and learning, and people who are fighting, and the ones who are learning and praying are an aid to the ones that are fighting. And there are plenty, we're talking about the ones who sit and learn the whole day. There are plenty of religious from Hasidim who are on the battlefronts and getting
taking away my money, kids. Taking away. Wow.
Well, one of them who left Lubavitcher, he left his tefillin to Benyahu, Netanyahu, and Netanyahu put it on the day of his birthday. That fellow, and he had himself photographed in tefillin. The Jews have to realize that we're a Torah nation, and there can't be all this skullduggery against the religious people. And there are plenty who are fighting, thousands who are fighting. But the good news is that the army is getting better, and Israel is getting better in terms of coming to believe. They're statistically 80% of the Jewish people in Israel consider themselves traditional, meaning they believe in God and try to keep the holidays as best they can.
Good.
Anyway, it's an interesting statistic I read that the secular schools, they ran a poll, and they said, if you had the chance to leave Israel, a better life, more material life, and a richer life in another country, would you go? Or wouldn't you go? 45% of those in the secular schools, when there's no religion, said they would leave Israel. 91% of the yeshivas and the schools where they teach Torah said, heaven forbid, we would not leave Israel.
Okay, that's good to hear. Very good.
Amen.
Very
And
good.
that says something.
Right.
So look, we have to increase our joy and pray to God, and God listens to prayer. God wants our prayer. In our prayer, He tells us in Torah, talk to me. Love your God. Teach it to your children, and you should speak about it when Midibartabam. When you're sitting at home, you're going by the way. Exactly two possibilities. Either you're at home or you're away. And what do you have to do? Midibartabam. You should talk to everyone. That's our life. I mean, hey, and the Torah it grows on you, and you spend time, and there's so much to learn, but it starts with a little bit. So again, I hope that everybody will read this chapter. It's at the end of Tisete in Deuteronomy of remember what Amalek did to you. And we do it now before Purim. This Shabbos is called Shabbos Zachor. Remember, and remember what Amalek did to you. And the Jewish people are the most the most compassionate and giving. And yet they have this command to wipe out Amalek.
David came in.
And unfortunately, we saw what Amalek is. And the President of the United States of America says they have to be wiped out, which is this Amalek, Hamas. Let's see what happens with if they, they have.
Yeah, it's going to become political here.
But the atrocities and the brutality is the Nazis who were the same thing. Anyway, let's end on a good note.
Thank you.
That we should have a very good Shabbos, a happy Shabbos, and we can make happy. Everybody knows that. I think I told you this thought before. It says King David says in the Tehillim, Ibdu es Hashem b'simcho. Serve God with joy, with happiness. But hey, what if you're not? What if you got you are you a faucet? You can just turn it on. Yeah, how do you get the joy? Okay, you have to be happy. How do you? And yet God says, Ibdu es Hashem b'simcho. Serve God with joy. So I heard, I don't know what the source of this is, but Igdash Hashem B'Simcha is the letters base Shin Mem Chaf Hey, the same letters of Machshava, thought. Serve God. How can you be happy? The Machshava, serve God with your mind. Think about what God has given you, what life is. You know, to know God is to love Him. Study about God. Study the scriptures. Say Tehillim, and study the scriptures, and you can become, when you think about the machshava, what you have instead of what you don't have, and you can bring yourself to simcha. So let's all have very easy to come to simcha, and God should give us only simcha in our lives, and the ultimate simcha is the coming of our righteous Mashiach. Have a very good Shabbos.
Shabbos. Thank you.
All the best.